but it's trying to teach that next generation that there is such fulfillment in giving back and paying it forward when you've been blessed. And we hope to instill that in our daughters. They've seen it in our lifetimes, but we thought, hey, this is another way for them, even long after we've left the earth, to have the freedom, the flexibility, and the resources to do it even before they've accumulated their life savings.
They're contributing this money back, and your impact is lasting in a way that it impacts generations and generations and generations.
Yes, absolutely right. And that's our hope and prayer for sure.
Welcome to the show. This is the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. This is where you get real clarity about retirement so you can build a plan that blesses your life instead of becoming it. We'll share what you need to hear to replace worry with confidence, protect what you've built, and actually live your dreams, not your fears in retirement. Let's dive in. All right. Well, welcome to the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. This is episode 9. Today I have got a great client on, Lane Lewis. So he has been with me for 2.5 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, super client, very excited to tell you the story of how, Lane and I met, and where I was in the stage of the business whenever we met. It was very different than where we are today. But yeah, Lane's just a super guy, definitely has a huge heart. So that's one thing that I've noticed is, he's a very intelligent person, but also at the same time, his heart is just as big as his brain, which is very rare, I find, in a lot of cases. So, Lane, super excited to have you on today. Very excited to talk about Make-A-Wish, the charity gala that we have in the works, kind of the commitment that the Big Money Cares Foundation has made to Make-A-Wish Greenville. I'm very excited to be supporting that local organization. So important that, there's a lot of charities out there to support, and we're very intent on the ones that we select to work with. It has an impact here in the Greenville community. And you have even more of an insight into how Make-A-Wish has impacted the Greenville community. So very excited for you to share your experience there. But wanted to start with how we met. So let's go back to 2023, I think, probably beginning of 2023. How did you meet Big Money? How did we come into the circle?
So it was one of your great dinners. I saw an invitation. I forget where the medium was I saw it, but there was something in there about retirement and retirement planning. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested. That's something I hadn't heard of before. And that is something that's really important to me. And investment is having an advisor who's innovative, creative, presenting new ideas, not just a stock, bond, cash kind of portfolio, but what are some creative ways to avoid taxes, do planning, build charity into your estate plans. And so there was something in there that sparked my interest and brought me to one of the dinners.
So Lane comes into the office. There was 3 of us. I think at that time there was a hefty 3, which, it was a good 3. But when Lane walked in, kind of like everybody else in the beginning, you're skeptical. You kind of have your guard up. And anyway, he ended up becoming a client in a small way at the beginning. But fast forward to today, we have 21 team members, 4 locations. And I think the reason a lot of that has happened is how we were able to build relationships there in the beginning. So, this is my view. And I think this is why Lane and I have become friends. I would consider us friends for sure. After this, he's coming to my community, and we're going to go play some golf. So, you want to bring people on, with the firm as clients that you also wouldn't mind having dinner with, or going and doing activities outside of the office. But whenever, we first started in the relationship, it was very much business and then evolved into the charity side. So talk to me a little bit about how important you have noticed charity has been, and that's really strengthened our relationship, I feel like. But why is it important that a retiree looks at giving as a part of their retirement plan?
Yeah, and if I could just add one more thing about the office introduction that I remember vividly too, with just three of you there. I think the strategy was okay. This is a senior. Sit him down with the gray-haired person in the office, and it was on the other side of the wall from you. And I remember saying, this isn't getting off to a great start. I wanted to talk to the young guy, the guy who's going to outlive me, Jonathan. And then you come walking around the cubes. Come on over to my office, Lane, and and it was great. I really do appreciate that side of it as well. Most of our assets have been with somebody who's in their mid 60s now, will be retiring soon, and we were looking for an advisor who would outlive us, and I hope and expect you do that, Jonathan.
But
But
yeah, I've been focused on my health recently, so I've been in the gym I've lost 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks, so I'm on it there.
good for you. Very important. Yeah. So then charity. Yeah. So we had the privilege of retiring young. We worked hard throughout our career, had done well, and were able to retire at age 56. And we call this the give back phase. It really is because, we've been blessed the way we have and been able to accumulate the resources we have. We wanted to pay it forward and enable other people to be doing the same kinds of things. We've tried to instill that in our daughters. So as we retired, one of the things we both had in mind, my wife and I, was getting more involved in charity. We'd always been involved in charity, but we kind of doubled down. If you think of, the three T's, the time, talent, and treasure, time is one of the most precious commodities, but when you move to retirement, you have a little more of it. And I've used most of it up on charities, and you can give as much as you want, but the benefits I've gotten to know, Make-A-Wish in particular, so much better. I mean, everybody has heard of it, high brand recognition. Everybody has an idea of what is done. Most people don't realize that today, 70% of kiddos with life-threatening illnesses actually survive. When it was started 50 years ago, it was flipped. Only 30% survived. But there's been so much great cancer research that now many of the kiddos survive. And the impact of a wish is just awe-inspiring, right? For kids, when the medicines aren't working, it's the hope. You need hope to carry on, right? And for the family, many of the siblings who are often neglected because mom and dad are focused on this sick child, right? They go on the wish together as a family, and it's a reprieve for the whole family to forget about everything, forget about the treatments, and just have Make-A-Wish take care of them. And then some of these wishes last for a lifetime. One of the wish kiddos, one of my favorite stories is when the kid wanted to meet John Mayer. He's an aspiring artist. Still today, he's an aspiring artist. He beat his illness, but he wanted to meet John Mayer. And when John Mayer met him, he said, "Mom, Dad, let us jam together," right? So they had a little private session. They played together. They played individually. John critiqued him, gave him some tips. And at the end of the session, John Mayer said, "Kid, you rock." Fast forward now, he beats his illness. He's graduated high school, graduated college. He is now one of the 10,000 artists in Nashville trying to make it. And every time he gets a little bit down, he remembers his idol, John Mayer, saying, "Kid, you rock," right? It's his inspiration. It was his inspiration to beat the illness, and now it's his life inspiration to make it, in his career choice. It's just really, really exciting, the impact a wish can have.
Yeah, the thing that I love about that is I think so many people as they go into retirement, it's all about and it's self-preservation, right? You have this general concern that it's me. I have to make sure I'm taken care of. And I find that people who are higher net worth, even in that, $3 to $10 million range, still struggle with things of that nature. Like they want to take care of themselves. But what I've noticed and why I wanted you to get on the podcast too, I wanted to promote the gala that we have coming up. But what I've noticed is the clients who I feel we are making the most impact with in their portfolio, they're also at the same point giving that back, and they're getting such a return on that investment because they know they can't take it with them. And in the background, they have a plan that supports that. So talk about maybe how that has been a fulfilling side of your retirement going into it, how charity being a piece is very foundational, not only in a from an investment standpoint, but also from an emotional ROI? Because I know you and Joe are heavy on this side.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say we just recently redid our estate plans too. I mean, we've been charitable all our lives, but we had nothing in our estate plans for charity. What do you do by default? You leave it to your children, right? And you have to ask yourself, what is enough for your children to make them comfortable, to launch them to whatever way you want to support them. And then there are these considerations like, well, you have a bunch of money in a standard IRA. That's going to be taxable, right? And well, what would you rather do? Leave, pass those taxes on to the government, or perhaps leave it to a charity, right? And so, we redid it such that hopefully we can keep giving, supporting, and giving back even after we've left the earth. And one of the other things we did to help instill the same kind of value in our daughters is we're making a significant funding of our donor advised account that they will manage again long after we've left the earth. But they have an opportunity annually to say, okay, we're going to give to this charity, this charity, this charity. It can be anyone they choose, but it's trying to teach that next generation that there is such fulfillment in giving back and paying it forward when you've been blessed. And we hope to instill that in our daughters. They've seen it in our lifetimes, but we thought, hey, this is another way for them, even long after we've left the earth, to have the freedom, the flexibility, and the resources to do it even before they've accumulated their life savings.
Yeah, and I think when you think about legacy, a lot of people they have this notion that maybe if they see a building that's named after someone, or they see this large monument, or something's funded with a very large amount of money, that person just had billions of dollars. But a very common strategy actually that we implement too is a donor advised fund. So from your view, I could talk about a donor advised fund all day, but talk about a donor advised fund a little bit as a strategy and why that has come into you guys' plan specifically.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in retirement, you don't have the same um, income and deductions. And so, we looked at things completely differently. And now the standard deduction is so large that people don't always meet the threshold of deductions, right? So what we do right now, every other year, it may be every 3 years, whatever, is make a very large donation to the donor advised fund. And then over the next 2 or 3 years, whatever you're giving from that donor advised fund. But in that year, you make that large donation, you do itemize, and you have enough to itemize. And maybe you've harvested some gains as well. And so if you can plot this all out, when you're going to receive the gains, when you're going to need a large deduction that you can offset it with the single large donation to your donor advised fund, then you can give over time like you would have any other way, but you kind of manage the tax implications in a very favorable way that, again, you can focus on this charitable giving and giving it back and paying it forward, but you're benefiting from it in saving on some of the taxes that you might otherwise pay too.
And then I love the vision of when we have a client do it this way, because the vision here is not only that you leave your kids with a hand up, not a handout, right? You said something that I felt was and I want to zoom and double click on that, is what do they need? Because that is a very rational train of thought for you to go through. Like, do they need a ridiculous amount of money, or do they need, a substantial amount of money that I never had to build my wealth? Yeah. So I think that's a good viewpoint. The second thing is, when you're allowing them to control that donor advised fund after you passed, it's still that they are the ones who get to make the impact by choosing where those donor advised funds go.
Yes.
That is you're teaching your kids how to give, and that is just opening their heart long after you're gone, they're contributing this money back, and your impact is lasting in a way that it impacts generations and generations and generations.
Yes, absolutely right. And that's our hope and prayer for sure.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we say internally is, we love to make a difference because it not only impacts the client, it impacts their family, and that happens in their lifetime. Mm-hmm. But it also impacts the generations that you'll never meet. And the only way that you can have that end statement is if you're intentional with your plan today, and you create something that allows that impact to go on and on long after you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I could give a plug, for another offering Make-A-Wish has, we Joe and I just went through this. It's paid for by Make-A-Wish, so it is a free service to people that have associated with Make-A-Wish, and it's really a values-based discussion. Gets at the heart of what we're talking about here, right? I mean, and you look at things differently. Like, say you were a billionaire. Take it to an extreme. You're a billionaire. What's enough to leave to your children? It's an easier question to answer when you think of it that way. If you're in this 3 to 10 million, as you pointed out, you're like, wow, what's enough? But if you were a billionaire, what's enough to leave to your children? And you figure that out. And then what's important? And you go through this whole value-based, what do you want to do? What do you want your legacy to be? The name on the building or impacting lives moving forward? I mean, it is different for different people. And you go through this whole exercise, and then you have a little bit more of a plan for what you want your estate to look like. You go back to your financial advisors like yourself and maybe tweak a few things that you've got set up. You go back to your attorney and you update or put an estate plan in place. So it's not those services itself, but it's the process of going through this value-based discussion. What are your values? What's most important to you? What do you want your legacy to be? And it was just a great, great, great exercise. And some of the fiduciaries, the attorneys that put together estate plans, they have some, liabilities with getting too deep into discussions about how you spend your money, the charitable giving side of it. And so when you have this neutral third party, you can get deep into it and have light bulbs like we did go off and say, oh my gosh, we never thought about, yeah, there are tax implications for the standard IRA that we have not thought about, right? And that may be what you end up giving to charity to avoid the tax. And it's just a great, great process. And we just started that this year as part of building up a larger long-term endowment for the foundation, and excited to offer that service to Make-A-Wish donors.
If retirement clarity matters to you, don't wait. Text BOOK to 864-920-3155 or click the link in the description below to get a free copy of Jonathan's book, Retire Right.
That's awesome. So if you're interested in that, what I'll do is I'll have Lane put the contact information in the show notes, so that way you can go and easily look into that. And the only reason why I say 3 to 10 million is because that's generally when it's brought up to me as a strategy, is somebody who's in that range. But I would say anyone, even a retiree with $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 can look at how to give in this type of way. Donor advised funds aren't reserved for a certain net worth. You can do a donor advised fund and you can include that as a strategy. So I think that, if this is something that you're hearing it and you're like, man, how do I implement that? You don't have to have the $3 to $10 million net worth. That's just generally where I see it brought up. But I want to talk about the charity piece, how that's impacted our team. And then I want to go deeper on Make-A-Wish and kind of, if you want to know how to get involved in the gala, which is going to be a phenomenal event here at the end of the year, how you can get involved in that. My wife is really leading the charge on that with the Big Money Cares Foundation. So excited about that. But the team, this is the way that I've always seen business. You take care of the team first. Now, that may be contradictory because some people say, oh, well, you take care of the clients first. Well, if your team is taking care of the clients, you should definitely take care of the team first. Because if they're not taken care of, how are they going to take care of the people that you've been charged or called to serve? So we take care of our team. Everyone on our team is, they do well, they're above market, and it's a really phenomenal culture where they know their, coaching is encouraged. It's just a very open, very much a sense of belonging. So the team's taken care of. When you take care of the team, they'll take care of the clients. Now, when the clients are taken care of, they will tell other people about the experience that they had. Word of mouth is the best marketer in the world. So we believe in, once you take care of the team, clients, go out of your way, do stuff you're not paid for, take care of the clients. When you do that, you will generate profits. So it's team, clients, profits. when you generate profits, now this is my viewpoint, and a lot of advisors may see this differently, but I grew up in a strong Christian household, and I know that giving back is the most important thing that you can do. So when we generate profits, we have to give back to charity, and we have to give back to the local communities in which we serve. And this is the crazy part that I have noticed. When you give back, you get more than you give. And that's not some prosperity gospel or anything like that, like abundance gospel. But what I'm saying is the idea of giving back to the local community, specifically here in the upstate. When you do that, your team gets so much out of it. And it was something that I didn't expect to happen the way that it did, but I think it drives everyone towards this greater purpose of what we're wanting to accomplish. When they see, like, I have a large, and I'm not even going to say what it is. I'm going to make you wait until the gala. I have a large goal this year to give at the Make-A-Wish, at our gala this year. I want to get one of those big checks. I'm not going to tell you the amount, but we're going to bring out a big check. And the reason why I'm going to do that is that for the charity directly, absolutely. And I want to talk more about Make-A-Wish Greenville and the impact, and kind of what you said about the John Mayer story. That's amazing, the impact that can have. But personally, as a business owner, the thing that I've noticed, it energizes the team so much. It makes them feel like they are actually and we make a difference every day in people's financial lives. But to see us stepping out and doing something that we do not have to do, it is not required in any way, shape, or form, to see them watch the impact that we're actually making on a daily basis, that has been a total unlock for me. Just to see them light up, I feel like it brings extra energy into the office. Like, we're not only doing this for us and the families that we serve, we're doing this for the local Greenville community. So Make-A-Wish Greenville is a very strong foundation. That is why we have selected you guys to do the gala every year. So I want to talk more about, why Make-A-Wish Greenville, why, those dollars that are going to be donated at the charity gala, how they go directly to kids wanting wishes granted here in the area, the difference that you've seen that make. I know you already said the John Mayer story, but talk a little bit about the organization in general, Make-A-Wish Greenville.
Sure. Yeah, and there's so many volunteer opportunities. So we have over 200 volunteers a year that we manage. There's getting background checks, make sure it's a safe environment for the kids, and every year there's more volunteers coming in. And one of the volunteer opportunities is something called discovery. It's when a kid is referred by their doctor, you then set up a meeting to see, what's your wish? Why do you want that wish? And we get a couple of wish ideas so we can plan and surprise with them. But I tell you, one of the most satisfying, and it's a finite little time, right? But you have a 30-minute interview with one of these kiddos, and you get a little bit of background on them, how many siblings, mom, dad, and that. But then you go there, and sometimes the kiddos are quiet, reserved, and it's the challenge of getting them to open up, right? And I had one time, and so you have a few things, what's your favorite color? Really easy softballs like that, and who was your favorite music artist, and you just get them talking. And then, if you could do anything, what would that be? And why do you want to do that? And you're asking them, and again, it's just a 30-minute opportunity, but we get nearly 300 of these a year. So there's a lot of these discoveries. And one time, the next day, I had a parent call me back and say, you know what? You got our daughter talking, and we didn't even know that, she liked this. And it brought tears to my eyes to hear that, right? That you could have that kind of an impact, right? And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, the giving that comes back from paying it forward, right? I mean, it's very moving. And there's an example of, how you can become involved in the time side of Make-A-Wish, right? And volunteering opportunities. Discovery is one. Then the kiddos, unfortunately, they have to wait for up to a year, right? Where these wishes get fulfilled. that have come in. So we have a little pen pal opportunity where just monthly you touch points. And by this point, the discovery has been done. So you know their favorite color, their favorite restaurant, and their birthday. And so you can, send a birthday greeting one month and maybe a gift card for something another month, but you're just letting them know that we are thinking about them. We are excited about your upcoming wish, and you're kind of keeping them engaged, if you will. And it's that hope and it's that focus, again, while they're going through their treatments. And then a third opportunity is the celebration. Again, a small, finite opportunity. But when you're in cahoots with the parents and you say, okay, what time, where's the place? And the family comes in, and then you're all surprised, you're going to meet John Mayer, or you're going to Disney, or whatever the wish is, right? And again, to see the reaction of the kiddos and their family, right? And is really, really moving. And these wish kiddos come from all over, right? So whether it's Greenville, it's Simpsonville, it's Anderson, I mean, it's all over right here, right? It is local, as you point out. And so you can become engaged in any one of these volunteering opportunities. You can support financially. The average cost of a wish is about $7,500. So you can do the math on, to grant 275 to 300 wishes a year, how much that is. And right now we are at a point where this year we granted 258 wishes. Our fiscal year just ended August 31st. And we're trying to close that gap. Another 20 wishes gets us to basically the number of wishes that are coming in each year. And that means no kid has to wait more than a year to get their wish then. And that's a huge point of focus for the board strategically, is being able to sustainably grant the number of wishes that are coming in. So we are within 12 to 18 months of being at that place. And again, all locally focused and all giving opportunities to engage, opportunities to give. It's really a wonderful organization to be a part of.
Yeah, I tell you, we have worked with so many different organizations. What gets me excited about Make-A-Wish is the fact that if you were to give, X number of dollars, like let's say you do end up attending the charity gala in November, and we'll put the information for that down below as well. But if you gave $7,500, let's say you granted a wish, the impact that has, you can invite your, kids along, your grandkids along, for them to watch you grant this child's wish. And I think the seed that plants for them and the example that shows for the generation moving forward is worth way more than the $7,500. And that's what I mean by you usually get more out of it than the person or the person receiving the wish. But providing that hope on, okay, if they are going through cancer treatments, they know in 2 months I get to meet John Mayer. In 2 months I get to go to Disney World. In 2 months, I think you guys gave away a golf cart one time, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think just that in general. The other thing, it's so funny with my background. I think about this podcast, and you want to know what it reminds me of is whenever my grandfather, who was a pastor, he lived the age of 95. So just salt of the earth guy. But I used to think about whenever he would talk about tithing in church. And I used to always be like, man, I feel like some people in the congregation are like, sitting arms folded. But I always looked up to my grandfather as a leader. And he was just, I think that he ultimately talked about, we always say in the firm, we're leaders here to provide leadership. But I think when you talk about things that make people slightly uncomfortable, they're like, why would I give $7,500 if I could go and buy a golf cart? It's the return is infinitely more by letting your family see you contribute. And now it's not even in the same range or the same ball field. We're talking about an impact that goes on and on and on and on and on, more than you can even see or ever count. So, I think this podcast kind of, goes back to some of my roots and how I would see that. But the thing that I love is whenever somebody sees something like this and they actually go and take action, if you've never done anything like this, the worst thing that could possibly happen is you don't feel that way and you still did something good.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a person problem at that point. But I don't know how that could not happen, but that's one of the things and why Samantha and I have made the Big Money Cares Foundation like such a driving force in the business is we get so much out of it. Like it's not about, it is about making that happen, but it's more so about if you're going to build something massive and if you're going to make an impact, it goes beyond the financial side, right? You've got to make investments that are emotionally fulfilling. And I think that specifically Make-A-Wish Greenville, you guys do such a good job of making sure that when something is given, you allow someone to be involved to the extent they want to be involved. So somebody could give a wish or a part of a wish. You don't even have to grant a whole wish if you couldn't do that. But if you grant a whole wish, you could do it anonymously, or you could be along for the ride, right? And see what happens. And I think that is just such a powerful thing that, you not only you can see it, but you can involve your family in that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. And I just have to say, as a big money client myself, chair of the board for Make-A-Wish here in South Carolina, that we are absolutely thrilled you have chosen Make-A-Wish to be your gala beneficiary. We're excited to partner with you, and I personally, hope everyone of your clients can attend. I think it's very generous that you are also setting it up such that there is no cost to attend the charity gala. Fantastic. And so I just like to extend my personal invite to all the clients to say, I hope to see you at the charity gala. We'd love to have you there. We will have a Wish family there that you will hear from directly, both the kiddo and the family themselves. And then to the extent that you can give generously, it will enable us to close that gap on granting the number of wishes each year that are coming in. And so I thank you for that. I thank all the clients in advance for considering the attendance and really thinking about the impact that charitable engagement has on you and the health and wealth of your personal being.
Yeah, the gala is going to be a ton of fun. If I learned one thing from last year's charity gala, it is the auction that we're going to do. A lot of items are going to be donated. I really this year have thought about our clients. And so those auction items, I know our clients love to travel. They love to fish. They love to hunt. They love to be with their family. And there's so many things that this year, if you attend, you can purchase something and you can get something out of it, or you could just give. But I would say anyone who's listening to this, if you feel like this is a great idea, what I would urge you to do, I'm also going to put my wife's contact information down below. If you know a business and they want to sponsor it's the big money charity gala. However, we are going to do a phenomenal job at putting those businesses in the spotlight. So if you know a business owner, or someone who you feel like would be drawn to this cause, have them email my wife. There's different tiers, even a bronze tier is very, very well recognized, all the way up to the platinum or gold sponsors. It's almost like a co-branded event at that point. So, to the extent anyone in the Greenville area wants to get involved and they're a business owner, or the upstate area in general, it's definitely worth it, and worth the investment for the impact that we're going to make on the back end. So, Lane, I'm very excited to execute this with you. I think the impact that we make in a night is going to be amazing, let alone years and years and years to come. You guys have been designated as the gala beneficiary from here on out. So we're just excited to do that. And my wife is putting a lot of hard work into, making sure that event is something that if you love weddings, you should definitely attend, because that's the level to which it's going to be planned. We've got great entertainment. I think we have a former American Idol singer, correct?
I don't know. I hadn't heard that. Nice.
I'm gonna place a little teaser there. Yeah, the entertainment is gonna be off the chain. It'll be a fun night, and a night where we allow our clients to give back, but also on behalf of our team, we're going to be making a big contribution to this effort as well. So, really excited for this. And Lane, I appreciate your time this morning. You're a super client, just one of the most genuine people that I know. And I feel like the work that you've done already for Make-A-Wish in Greenville is amazing. And I can't wait to see what we accomplish together.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.